There's something that I've been noticing, and it's beautiful, but at the same time, it requires a lot of trust. And what I've been noticing is we're being asked to try something again, but this thing we're trying again, there can be sort of a feeling of disappointment of how things played out in the past. And we're being asked to go for it again, but at the same time, we've been getting messages about what needs to be tweaked. And these tweaks, I'm being told, is very small, it's very simple. And when we make this tweak, what hasn't clicked in the past can now click moving forward. And for me, it's been these videos and this, trying to really hone in my channeling ability and really having it come into, I liken it to finding your voice if you're a singer and finding your sound. But in our creative expression, this is true for any discipline. It's finding your quote unquote voice. And that's something that I've been working on since 2020. I've been making videos since the beginning of 2020, and I felt like I hit a breaking point, and what caused the breaking point was unexpected. I wasn't expecting it to impact me the way that it did, but something happened. Two things happened really that really took the wind out of my sails, and I kind of took a big step back from social media for a while. And my ego was sort of tussling with me of, Lydia, get started. But at the same time, my body was telling me to rest. And the biggest signal was my health and having to deal with a laundry list of things that, a bunch of smaller things adding up to big things, and things that if I had let go unchecked for any longer would have started causing bigger and bigger issues. So that required a lot of resetting. It required a lot of rest. So I took that time and I sort of, observed my ego and let it do what it needed to do. But my body is the indicator. When I'm ready to step out and do something, I will. And I've noticed too with my spiritual development that a lot has slowed down, and what I'm being called to take action on, it doesn't come like this go, go, go hustle culture anymore. It's more like, ideas coming in, coming in, coming in. And then there's this feeling of, okay, now it's time. And in that feeling, if I resist it, I'll get anxiety, and anxiety is an indicator that there's something that I need to work through in order to move forward. But if that anxiety isn't there, I feel like it's just my ego yapping about. So I'm proud of myself for that. But again, these videos that I've been doing for so long haven't been clicking for me in the way that I see myself and I see my future self having that sort of, synergy with what I do in this creative expression that I've devoted myself to. And I've gotten a lot of information in the last, I don't know, couple weeks, but especially yesterday, of why it wasn't clicking and what needs to happen for it to click forward. And for me, it was, I have a South Node in Libra. I'm gearing up for a nodal return with my North Node in Aries, and the nodes moving into Aries this month. I was denying myself my own creative expression by always trying to figure out what other people needed. And that's not for me to determine. It's kind of sort of low key in its undercurrent, a form of people pleasing to try and figure out what people need and then try to extract a message for that. What my guides let me know yesterday, and it came specifically from the fairies, they want me to say, is that it's time for me to start expressing myself and being comfortable in expressing myself by saying what I want to say and expressing myself in the ways that I want to express, and trusting that that will land and that will serve in the way that it's meant to, and allow my channeling ability to come through that way. Which again, this trying to figure out what people needed was actually bringing my mind into it too much, and it was preventing things from clicking together. But at the same time, even though I went through all that time, years really, of feeling like I'm putting myself out there again and again and again, and I'm not seeing that, things come together in the way that I know they can. All those years of me doing it and feeling that way was part of the unblocking process and was part of the learning process in order for me to make the transition that I'm making now, which is to be more open about my personal experience, to come from my own personal experience and trusting that that is what is needed most. And by needed most, I mean needed for me. And, that North Node in Aries, it's the one nodal placement where it is about me. And the culture really doesn't really support that. I think there's a lot of, unsavory expressions of it that people immediately go to when we think of people doing things for themselves. But there's also a light expression. And that's an important thing to remember in this Aquarian reality. It's not what we do, it's the vibration through which we do it. And if it's a selfish vibration in a self-serving at the detriment of others aspect, then obviously that's a shadow aspect. But if it's a self-expression for myself with the recognition that it is a loving expression that is coming in to share with others and to contribute to a collective expression, then we get into a different vibrational frequency, right? So what my guides have been showing me in the last 24 hours literally is it's time for me to really own that aspect of myself, which is in my human design as well. I have an ego channel that is about talking about my experiences, talking about myself, and a real ease in being able to do that. And so I feel myself segueing into this new way of expressing and allowing myself the grace to allow it to land and be what it wants to be without worrying about others too much, because I trust my own heart and I trust my own ability to express myself in loving ways and in open, loving expressions that is not at the detriment of others. It's really a beautiful light expression that's meant to contribute to the experience, my own experience, and by extension the experience of others. And anyone who knows me personally knows that my energy is not one of, I don't suck oxygen out the room. I don't vie for attention. It's very much about me being myself without compromising who I am, and allowing that to be its own light and to be its own expression in the world, and not worrying about how people take it, because I'm always coming from that heart center, and it's always my intention to come from that heart center. And anytime I fall out of my heart center, those relationships and what I encounter in my relationships is those lessons and those teachings to help bring me back into my heart. And that's the learning process, and that's the learning experience. So that's where I need to be right now, is in that learning experience. It's even my moon at 21 degrees of Libra conjunct my ascendant. That 21 degrees is Sagittarian, experiential, and allowing myself to learn through those experiences and not be so in my head, because I'm a Virgo. I can be in my head all day, and I am in my head all day. But it's time for me to start moving out in a different way and start expressing myself in a different way. And I'm excited for how that's changing and how that's evolving, and the clicking that's going to take place, that I know is going to take place. And it's really beautiful, and I'm excited for that beauty as well. And it took me a while to really work through letting go of the past and letting go of how things played out in order for me to step into this future that wants to be free of the past. It wants to honor the past in one way, which is another download that I've been getting, is that old aspects of ourselves that perhaps we lost touch with, that served its purpose, then faded out, are coming back into the fold for reintegration with the self we are now. And this is really exciting as well, because perhaps we've been thinking, well, I used to do this and I used to do that, and it was really fulfilling and really beautiful. Like, why don't I do it anymore? Now these things are coming back so that they can be freer and more expressive and expansive in their expression. And which is exciting as well, like these old aspects of ourselves. There's things we used to do that were really good that we fell off the wagon, or perhaps we just, vibrated away from it. It's coming into the fold, and it's coming into a fold at a higher frequency to integrate with where we are now. So on one hand, there is this letting go of the past, and there is this letting go of how things were and how things played out, to really open up the opportunity for things to play out differently going forward. But at the same time, as we loosen up, as we detach, as we release, these old things that we were doing that were really serving us for a time that we lost touch with are now going to start trickling back in, or even come back in full force, so that we can really be that higher expression of ourselves and really integrate that into who we are now, so that we can get to this new adventure that wants to come in, and this new way of doing things that we've been working on in various cycles for a while now, and we'll continue to do that. But what's beautiful now is this integration that's taking place, and this new way of being that's being offered. But in order to claim it, we really have to listen to what wants to change, and to, if we're getting that call to try again, to really honor that and trust it, and not get too attached to, well, what if, the fear of what if it just plays out the same way it always has. It won't. Not if we're listening. Not if we're listening to especially those things that, it's these really small changes that want to take place. In my case, it's not trying to predict people, and just being who I want to be and expressing how I want to express, knowing that that loving frequency is what's needed most and is what's true for me. And in that truth is, you know, going to click into place for other people as well, and really call in my soul tribe and to call in new relationships, which is a third thing. It's these new relationships and these new connections that want to come in, that are really ready to come in, and perhaps we can feel how close they are. So if this message resonates, if you feel like you're being called to try again, really honor what wants to change. And it's probably something very small, just this one little message or this one little synchronicity that's going to come in that clicks everything into place for us to go forward and do it again, but do it in a new, refreshed, rejuvenated way. And I'm really feeling that rejuvenation energy, and this time to move forward, but not rush, you know, not try to take everything on at once, but to really implement those little things that want to happen in a patient, loving way, and allowing that excitement to play out in a very balanced way of, okay, I know what my immediate next step is. I know what I want to do in the immediate term, and I'm going to do that. And it's really exciting because I know it's going to get me closer and closer to that future self that I always see in my visions, in my mind's eye, and who I know myself to be. And to really claiming that, like knowing who you are now is absolutely who you're claiming who you are in the future, and who you know yourself to be in the future. And to not allow, you know, the negativity or the things that haven't worked to interfere or to taint that beautiful vision we have of ourselves and who we know ourselves to be. Because that person is trying to come in, and they're trying to come in fast, but counterintuitively, in order for it to come in fast, we have to be detached in a healthy way, and to be at ease in a healthy way, in implementing these changes and allowing it to play out without trying to predict how it's going to play out. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, and I'm excited for this new chapter. I hope you're excited too, and I hope this message resonates. I'm sending love and wishing you well. Bye.